The lobby of Voltex Innovations shimmered with sterile brilliance, glass walls, chrome accents, and the distant hum of well-oiled productivity. Elijah Carter adjusted his blazer as he waited near the receptionist's desk, clutching a slim laptop and a folder with pitch materials. He had rehearsed this moment 1,000 times. His startup prototype, a machine learning platform designed to streamline accessibility tools for people with disabilities, was the result of 2 grueling years of code, testing, and sleepless nights. This wasn't just tech for profit. It was tech for people like his younger brother Malik, who had been born with cerebral palsy and struggled with most standard interfaces. Elijah's platform used adaptive AI to tailor software environments in real time, and he was proud of what he'd built. Finally, the receptionist waved him through. "Mr. Bronson will see you now." The office at the end of the corridor was massive, lined with patent plaques and framed articles about Voltex's exponential rise. Behind the desk stood Declan Bronson, the founder and CEO, known for his bold acquisitions and, more notoriously, his dismissive arrogance. Elijah stepped forward, extending his hand with practiced confidence. But Declan didn't shake it. He leaned back in his designer chair, glanced lazily at the laptop, and smirked. "You built this?" he asked, flipping briefly through Elijah's demo deck. "Looks like a college project. Cute. But this kind of thing, it's already been tried, trust me. The big players are 10 steps ahead." Elijah tried to speak, to explain what made his adaptive model different, more human-centered, more scalable. But Declan waved a hand, cutting him off. "You've got passion, I'll give you that," he said, chuckling. "But tech is a shark tank, kid. You need more than a bleeding heart and a laptop. Try pitching this at a hackathon or something." The meeting was over in less than 10 minutes. Elijah walked out of Voltex's headquarters, stunned but strangely calm. He wasn't surprised, not really. He had seen that smirk before, heard that tone in other rooms, other interviews, other boardrooms. But this time was different. This time, he had a plan, and nothing, not Declan, not Voltex, not the polished halls of gate-kept tech, was going to stop it. Elijah sat in his tiny apartment, the glare from his laptop screen the only light in the room. He had barely spoken to anyone since the humiliating meeting at Voltex. The rejection wasn't new. He had faced it before, in internships he wasn't offered, in ideas that were passed over until someone else repeated them in a different voice. But something about Declan Bronson's smirk, the way he'd dismissed Elijah not just as a founder but as a thinker, lit a fire in him that even exhaustion couldn't smother. That night, Elijah pulled out every old notebook he'd ever filled, scribbled code snippets, feature ideas, UX sketches, all of it scattered across his floor like a battlefield of dreams. He took stock of what he had. More importantly, he took stock of what he knew. He wasn't just a programmer. He was an architect, a designer, and a user, all in one. His brother Malik, now in high school, had been testing his beta version for weeks. It had helped him complete schoolwork more independently than ever before. That alone proved his platform worked. With no investors, no capital, and no office, Elijah decided to go lean and loud. He built a clean landing page for his startup, which he named Connective, blending the words connectivity and kinship. He filmed a video of Malik using the adaptive interface, explaining in his own words how it changed his life. Elijah uploaded the video at 3 a.m. and went to sleep unsure if anyone would even watch it. By sunrise, the video had thousands of views. Comments flooded in, parents, teachers, even veterans with mobility issues, all saying they needed something like this. Some shared it. Others begged to join the beta. One tech journalist tweeted, "How is this not funded yet?" Elijah's inbox exploded. That week, he got a DM from a former Google engineer who offered to help optimize the backend for free. Another stranger, a product manager who had worked at Amazon, offered marketing help. They didn't care that Connective wasn't backed by venture capital. They cared that it worked. In just 2 weeks, Elijah had formed a scrappy but brilliant team. They weren't rich, but they were focused. Every night, code was pushed, bugs were squashed, and the platform got sharper. Meanwhile, Declan Bronson continued giving keynotes and posting on LinkedIn about diversity in tech, while never mentioning the black founder he'd belittled in his office. But Elijah wasn't watching. He was building, quietly, fiercely, and the world had started to watch him. 3 months later, Connective was no longer a hidden project. It had grown into a full platform with thousands of active users and a waitlist growing by the hour. Tech forums buzzed with praise for its intuitive AI, particularly how it adapted to users' needs without requiring invasive setup. Schools began reaching out to pilot it for students with special needs. An advocacy nonprofit offered funding. Elijah was stunned when the state education department requested a formal demo, in person. The invitation came with a twist. The demo would take place at the annual Access Tech Summit in San Francisco, the very same event Voltex Innovations would be sponsoring. Elijah hesitated, then accepted. The summit floor pulsed with energy. Giant banners of sleek tech brands hung above booths of all sizes. Elijah and his small team wore black Connective t-shirts, manning a humble corner display with a single screen and a few folding chairs. No flashy signage, no PR team, just their product. Clean, functional, revolutionary. Within hours, a line formed. Teachers, engineers, therapists, even executives stopped by. Malik, now proudly acting as their ambassador, sat with them and gave live demos. People weren't just impressed. They were moved. Across the floor, Declan Bronson walked through the convention center like he owned the place. Cameras followed him. He gave interviews, shook hands, and posed near the Voltex booth, a gleaming setup with virtual reality headsets and massive LED displays. But his confidence faltered when he heard murmurs about that black-lead startup near the back. Someone even asked him if Voltex had invested in Connective. His face twitched. Curiosity got the better of him. He made his way toward Elijah's booth, arms folded, eyes scanning the small crowd. Elijah noticed him immediately but didn't stop his demo. He was too focused on showing a mother how Connective could help her nonverbal daughter communicate. Declan stood just a few feet away now, watching silently as the mother cried softly, watching her child tap out clear sentences on Elijah's platform for the first time. Then, their eyes met. Declan opened his mouth, but no words came out. Elijah simply nodded once, respectfully but without emotion, and turned back to the child. The crowd around them didn't pause. Connective had already stolen the show, and Declan Bronson, the man who once laughed at Elijah's pitch, now stood in a corner, forgotten in the noise of something far more powerful than his brand: purpose. By the end of the Access Tech Summit, Connective had done more than impress. It had captured headlines. Industry blogs raved about its real-world impact. One article called it the future of ethical AI. Another dubbed Elijah the quiet storm of Silicon Valley. With momentum now unstoppable, Elijah began fielding interest from angel investors. But he wasn't in a rush. He had seen how easily funding could twist a vision. He wanted partners who believed in the mission, not just the margins. One night, while going through a stack of emails in his modest home workspace, a name caught his eye: Ava Mendel, founder of Merge Fund, a venture firm known for backing underrepresented founders. She asked for a call. The next day, they spoke for hours. She didn't ask him for 5-year projections or flashy metrics. She asked about Malik, about the algorithm's emotional intelligence, about dignity. It was the first conversation Elijah had with someone in venture capital who spoke his language. Weeks later, they closed a seed round, small but strategic, just enough to grow the team and scale infrastructure without losing soul. Elijah finally moved Connective out of his apartment and into a shared startup space in Oakland, filled with natural light and whiteboards already blooming with ideas. While Connective soared, Declan Bronson's silence deepened. Behind closed doors, Voltex executives debated why their accessibility initiative had stalled. Their own rushed product, ironically launched a month after Connective's demo went viral, had flopped. Public backlash over its bugs and lack of authentic design thinking made things worse. The tech media, always hungry for irony, began referencing Connective in every article about Voltex's decline in user trust. It was only a matter of time before investors noticed. The board pressured Bronson to adapt or partner. And just like that, the very man who once scoffed at Elijah's idea was instructed to extend an offer, to acquire Connective. Elijah received the email on a rainy Thursday. He stared at the screen, rereading Bronson's name above the subject line: Exploring Strategic Synergy. He didn't feel anger. He didn't feel triumph. He felt clarity. This wasn't just business. It was proof. Proof that brilliance doesn't need permission. that the voices once silenced would not only be heard, they'd echo through boardrooms that once shut them out. Elijah drafted his reply with steady fingers, each word deliberate, and he clicked send with a quiet, satisfied breath. Elijah's response to Declan's acquisition offer was concise, polite, and final. Connective is not for sale. We are building a future that can't be bought. No dramatic language, no spite, just conviction. Declan never replied, but Elijah didn't expect him to. Instead, the silence was filled with noise from the outside world, and all of it in Connective's favor. Major publications ran features on the startup's meteoric rise. Elijah found himself on the cover of Fast Company, labeled, "The Disruptor Silicon Valley Didn't See Coming." Requests for interviews poured in. He appeared on tech podcasts, not as a curiosity, but as a thought leader. On stage at a diversity and tech panel, he said, "Access isn't just about who uses technology. It's about who builds it, and who gets believed when they do." Meanwhile, Connective was scaling fast. Their latest update integrated speech recognition with contextual understanding, making it easier than ever for users with speech impairments to navigate digital spaces. School districts in 3 states adopted Connective as their default accessibility tool. A healthcare group signed a pilot deal for use in patient communication systems. Revenue grew steadily. Feedback came in daily from grateful parents, educators, veterans, and young adults who finally felt seen by technology. And still, Elijah kept his feet on the ground. One evening, after a long day of meetings, he took Malik to a small park near their old neighborhood. They sat on the swings, the same ones where Elijah used to code with a cracked laptop while Malik played nearby. Malik looked over at his brother and said, "Remember when you said you'd build something that could talk the way I think? You did it, Eli." That moment meant more than all the headlines, panels, or investment rounds. Across the bay, inside a high-rise with tinted windows, Voltex Innovations was quietly undergoing internal review. Investor confidence had dropped. Developers were leaving. Rumors swirled that the board was considering new leadership. Declan Bronson's social media went dark. Gone were the glossy posts and keynote boasts. The industry had moved on, not with anger, but with focus. People weren't interested in recycled tech anymore. They wanted something real. And Connective was real. Elijah wasn't just a black coder with a pitch anymore. He was a founder, a leader, a builder of futures. And he was just getting started. The new Connective headquarters opened in downtown Oakland 6 months later. It wasn't flashy, but it was beautiful. Floor-to-ceiling windows, soft lighting, open collaborative spaces, and walls lined with artwork created by users. One mural depicted hands reaching toward each other, circuits and vines intertwined, a symbol of connection and growth. On opening day, Elijah stood beside Malik at the ribbon-cutting ceremony. Reporters gathered, but Elijah waved them off. "This isn't a media moment," he told them. "This is a community moment." Inside, visitors were welcomed by staff from all walks of life, many of whom had once been told they'd never work in tech. A blind software engineer demoed a new voice-controlled dashboard. A young woman in a wheelchair helped onboard new clients using the very tools Elijah had built. And Malik? He was now a product advisor, helping the design team test every feature for real-life functionality and dignity. That week, Connective announced a new global initiative, a licensing program that would make their technology free for public schools, special education centers, and nonprofit health clinics in underserved communities. The press called it a seismic shift in accessibility. Elijah just called it necessary. Meanwhile, Voltex Innovations faded into irrelevance. Declan Bronson resigned quietly, his name now a footnote in articles about outdated leadership models. The company was acquired in pieces. No headlines, no legacy. Elijah's story became required reading in tech incubators and ethics and technology courses across the country. But he rarely spoke about the moment Declan laughed at him. When asked, he'd smile and say, "It wasn't about being laughed at. It was about what I built after." And what he built wasn't just software. It was trust, a path, a vision that said, "You belong here," because brilliance comes from everywhere. And sometimes the quietest voice in the room isn't just the future. It's already changing the world.